Hello all, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we will solve configuring and managing a server lab from chapter 17 comprehensive review under the course Red Hat System Administration 1 8.2. So in this review lab, we will configure, secure and use SSH services to access remote machine, configure rsyslog service, archive local files, transfer local files to remote machines and manage packages using yum. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, we have to execute one custom command to set the environment for this lab. Then we will SSH into server B as a student user to perform all the tasks, to complete all the tasks. Okay, so the first task is to generate SSH keys for the user student on server B. And we do not want to protect the private key with the passphrase. The private and public key files should be named as review3 underscore key and review3 underscore key dot pub respectively. So for that we will use ssh dash egen command. Okay, then as per problem statement we will use slash home slash student in the in dot ssh directory slash the name of the file which is review3 underscore key. Okay. Then we will enter and enter. Okay, so the key is generated, and on server A configure the user student to accept logins authenticated by the SSH key pair that we created for the user student on server B. The user student on server B should be login to should be able to log into server A using SSH without entering the password. For that, we will use ssh-copy-id command to export the public key review3 underscore key dot pub from server A to server B. Okay, so ssh dash copy dash id command with option I and then the location of the key and the name. Okay, and where we want to copy this file to server A. Okay, yes, now we will enter the password. Okay, then we will use ssh command to confirm that we can log into server A from server B as a student user using the ssh private key which is review3 underscore key without being prompted for the password. We will just use ssh command ssh dash I dot ssh, then the name of the file which is review3 underscore key, and then server A. Okay, so now as you can see we have logged in into server A as a student user without using the password. Okay, now we will log out from server A back into the server B. Now on server B the third task is to configure the SSD service to prevent users from logging in as a root user with SSH. Okay, so for that we have to set the parameter which is permit root login to no in the /hc/sh/shd underscore config file Okay, so for that we will use Vim. For that we will use Vim text editor. So Vim HC, then SSH, then SSH d underscore config. This is the file we want to edit. Password for student, and here, okay, yes. So permit root login is yes, we have to set it as no. Then save the changes to the files. Okay, now we have to also reload the SSHD service. So we will use sudo systemctl reload sshd dot service. Okay. Now on server, the fourth task is to on server B configure the SSD service to prevent users from using their passwords to login. Users should still be able to authenticate logins using their private key of the SSH key pair. Okay, so now we have to set the parameter password authentication to no in the slash etc slash ssh slash sshd underscore config file. Okay, so again for that we will use the Vim editor, and here password authentication we have to set this to no, and save the changes to the files. Then again we have to reload the sshd service so that the changes should be applied. Then the fifth task is to create a tar archive name slash tmp slash log dot tar containing the contents of the slash where slash log on server B. Okay, and remotely transfer the tar archive to directory slash temp on server A, authenticating as student using slash home slash student slash dot ssh slash review 3 key as the student user's private key of the ssh key pair for authentication. So first of all, we will use sudo tar command to create the archive name slash temp slash log dot tar as the super user containing the contents of slash where slash log directory. Okay, so sudo tar, okay, dash c option to create b and f. So f option is used to provide the location of the file, which is temp, then log dot tar, and then the location of the file to which we have to create the archive is var and log. Okay, then we will use scp command to remotely transfer the archive file, which is slash temp slash log dot tar, which we created using the tar command, to the directory slash temp on server A. Okay, and we have to also specify the review 3 dash key as the private key of the ssh key pair. So we will use scp dash I, then the key location, name of the key, and the location of file which we want to transfer, which is temp slash log dot tar, and where we want to transfer, which is server A, location where we want to transfer on server A, which is temp directory. Okay, so the operation is performed. And the sixth task is to configure the rsyslog service on server B to log all messages it receives that have the priority level of debug or higher to the files grading dash debug in log directory, which is in where directory. So this configuration should be set in slash hc slash rsyslog dot d slash grading dash debug dot conf file, which we should create. Okay, So first of all, we have to create the grading-debug.com file in rsyslog.d directory with the following content. Okay, so the content is there. Okay, we will just create the file using sudo vim editor etc rsyslog.d, then the grading debug.conf. Okay, so we have to save the changes in the file, and then we will use systemctl to restart the rsyslog.service. Yes. Now we will use the logger command to generate the log message debug testing having the priority debug. Okay, logger with -p option debug, and this is the message which is debug testing. Okay, then now we will confirm that the log message debug testing is saved in the /var/log/grading dash debug file. So we will use tell command, and the location of the file which is where log. Yes, as you can see, the message is there, debug testing. Now the seventh task is to use the sudo yum command to install the zsh package available in the base OS repository on server B. So for that we will use sudo yum install zsh. Enter Y. Okay, completed. Now we will use yum command to enable the default module stream of the module Python 3.6 and install all the provided packages from that stream on server B. So we will use sudo yum module install Python 3.6. Yes. Okay. So the last task is to set the time zone of server B to Asia/Kolkata. Okay, so we'll use date time CTL. We will use time date CTL utility with set, okay, with set time zone, then the time zone which we want to set. Okay, now we will exit from or log out from the server B. Back to the workstation, and then we will grade the lab and we will finish the lab. So that's it from my side. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing this channel and press on the like button. Thanks.